Good morning, students. This is Asha, your social science teacher. Today we are going to discuss chapter 2 in history, from trade to territory. And today is part 2 of the lecture. Yesterday we discussed how new political formations were formed in the 17th century after the death of Aurangzeb, how new kings, new regional power came into existence. Then we discussed about mercantilism, how it was the most governing thing all over Europe and India, and how the policy of mercantilism led to trade wars between Portuguese, Holland, French, and Britain, all these companies. Then we discussed how British arrived in Indian scene, how they got the royal charter and how they got the concessions from Mughal emperor, how they started growing their trade, right? All these we discussed yesterday, and yesterday we discussed how Nawab of Bengal was unhappy with the unfair trade practices of East India Company. So initially East India Company came to do trade with India. Later they started gaining over territory. How it started, how this trade led to battle. So there were a lot of rift between Nawab of Bengal and East India Company. Murshid Quli Khan, who laid the foundation of independent regional kingdom Bengal, he was followed by Ali Vardi Khan and then Sirajuddaulah. All three were powerful rulers and were quite mindful of British East India Company intentions. They refused to grant concession and demanded company to pay tribute for right to trade. Company got a royal farman from Aurangzeb to trade duty free, but Nawab of Bengal asked them to pay tributes for this. Plus, as we discussed yesterday, how company officials took land, made their warehouses, offices. Later they started fortifying that area and started building huge forts. Nawab of Bengal objected this. He did not want them to do further fortification. Nawab denied company any right to mint their own coins. What does it mean? British East India Company wanted to mint their own coins to do trade, whereas Nawab of Bengal refused it. He did not allow them to mint their own coins. Company was refusing to pay tax and they started writing disrespectful letter trying to humiliate Nawab. So all this were going on, and for all this confusion, company had its own point of view. Company on its part declared that it was unjust demand of local officials which was ruining the trade. According to them, trade was ruined because of local officials who were demanding a lot of money. And in order to trade to flourish, it should be duty free. There should be no tax. And company said they are making all these settlements, buying villages to increase their trade. For everything they had, like they are doing to increase their trade. So there was a rift between Nawabs and East India Company. Sirajuddaulah was not happy with their fortifications. So what he did, he marched with 30,000 soldiers to English East India, English factory at Qasim Bazaar, and there he captured the company official. He locked their company's warehouse, disarmed all Englishmen and blockaded English ships. And then after Qasim Bazaar, he moved towards to get a control over Calcutta's fort. In Calcutta they have built a huge fort. So he was marching towards there. Robert Clive, he was posted at that time in Madras presidency. As he got the information of fall of Calcutta, he was sent to Calcutta to do negotiation. So there were prolonged negotiation between Nawab of Bengal Sirajuddaulah and Robert Clive. but it failed. It did not result in any conclusion. Then Robert Clive decided to remove Nawab from political scene and replace him with amenable and obliging Nawab. He knew that Sirajuddaula is not going to settle down on his points, so he decided to remove Sirajuddaula. He could not remove Sirajuddaula in battle, so he opted for other option. Clive, what he did, he conspired with leading men of Nawab of court in order to place Mir Jafar as a Nawab of Bengal. So he bribed Mir Jafar that if we remove Sirajuddaula, you can be a Nawab of Bengal. And Mir Jafar, along with his few men, decided to cheat Sirajuddaula. 23rd June 1757, Battle of Plassey was fought. Trickery of Mir Jafar cost Nawab the battle. Sirajuddaula fled. Later he was captured and killed. After Battle of Plassey, Mir Jafar was made Nawab of Bengal. Britishers, East India Company wanted a puppet Nawab. But anyhow, even if a person is a puppet Nawab, he has to maintain dignity and decency in front of his peasants, people. So the problem arises with Mir Jafar as well. Children, here I would like to tell you one thing. Battle of Plassey. Actually, the Plassey name comes from word Palash. It is the area where a lot of Palash flowers were grown. So Palash, and its anglicized version is Plassey, right? So what were the results of Battle of Plassey? Battle of Plassey was the first major victory of company in India. It was first major victory of East India Company. Mir Jafar was proclaimed the Nawab of Bengal. Company got the undisputed and unrivaled right to free trade in Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. And it received 1,70 lakh rupees as compensation. East India Company got this as a war indemnity, or you can say compensation. After Battle of Plassey, Mir Jafar was proclaimed as Nawab of Bengal. British wanted a puppet Nawab in Bengal, and Mir Jafar was indeed a puppet Nawab, but slowly he realized that company officials were doing unfair trade practices, and he started objecting them. And he also realized that company officials are interfering excessively in the affairs of Bengal. He objected to companies' unfair trade practices and their interference in the matter of court. In October 1760, Mir Jafar was deposed and his son-in-law Mir Qasim was proclaimed as the Nawab, because East India Company wanted a Nawab who could do whatever they want. And when Mir Jafar started obeying them, they replaced him by his son-in-law Mir Qasim. Mir Qasim became Nawab. He was initially happy, but slowly and steadily he realized that he's being used very badly. Company officials were misusing trade concessions to build up their personal fortunes. They were making huge amount of money for themselves. So Mir Qasim abolished all duties on internal trade so that both the Indian and the British trader could trade on equal terms. Because Britishers have already got a royal firman from Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb to do duty-free tax. It made them easy to do business, whereas internal traders, Indian traders, were facing difficulty because of duty. So Mir Qasim abolished duty from internal trade as well. This was considered by British as violation of their special rights and privileges. company realized that Mir Qasim is not listening to them. So, company removed Mir Qasim and installed Mir Jafar instead. Now again, Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal. This led to Battle of Buxar. Mir Qasim realized that if he alone fought with Britishers, he cannot defeat them. So he made a confederacy with Shah Alam II. He was the Mughal emperor at that time, and Shujauddaulah, he was the Nawab of Awadh. So together all three fought the Battle of Buxar on 22nd October 1764, and result, they were defeated. Battle of Buxar was the second major victory of East India Company. Whatever the unfinished task of Battle of Plassey was, it was finished or completed by Battle of Buxar. They became the real masters of India. It rose their reputation to a great extent. After the Battle of Buxar, Treaty of Allahabad was signed. Under this treaty, Nawab Shujauddaulah was made to pay war indemnity of 50 lakhs. Shah Alam was granted 26 lakhs rupee and he became the pensioner of the company. The Mughal Emperor became the pensioner of the East India Company. And the third most important thing which East India Company got was Diwani right. Company got the Diwani right of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. Diwani right means they can collect revenue, they can collect tax, and this Diwani right solved the major problem of the company. Company used to do business with India in gold and silver, which they brought from England, because they did not have any goods to sell in India. So they used to do whatever business in gold. By Diwani right, now they do not have to do business in gold. They can collect revenue from Indians, and that revenue they can use to purchase goods from Indians, and those goods they can sell and earn extra money. So their input is nothing, but they're gaining a lot, and the extra revenue which they got could be used to purchase goods, maintain company army, meet the cost of building forts and offices. And if we study closely, we see the import of gold to India was completely reduced, and by the end of 18th century it was zero by Diwani right. So children, that's all for today. Rest we'll do in next lecture. Thank you.